Good Saturday evening. Welcome to this week's weekly weather briefing. It is June the 24th, 2017. Just one more weekly weather briefing before we will be finally entering into July, almost halfway through the year. It is hard to believe. And speaking of halfway through the year, we should be looking at pretty warm temperatures if we're right in the middle of summer. But no, today temperatures as of 4:57, which is typically our heat of the day or just right after the heat of the day, we're at 79 degrees to 81 degrees max across the entire purchase area. Absolutely beautiful weather, and this isn't even the coolest it's going to get this week. We have even more cool weather to talk about once we get closer to the beginning of the work week. We'll get to that here in just a second. But as of right now, let's just take a minute and look at the radar being clear. Outside right now, we do have a few high clouds that have been rolling in throughout the day, and that has also kept us partially cool for most of the day. But we also had that cold front that came through, as well as Tropical Storm Cindy, and that is all spilling in cooler and drier air behind it. So that drier air also meaning lower humidity values. Everything coming together for an absolutely beautiful Saturday to get out and clean up after some of that rain came through the last couple of days, get some of that yard work caught back up after many of you picked up anywhere between an inch to 3 inches of rain. We had some localized amounts over 3 inches of rain in the area, so it was a soaker for many of us, and I don't see any rain like that coming within the next week. We'll wait and see how that pans out. Right now, let's go ahead and look at what this week has in store for us weather-wise, and we do have a couple of disturbances to monitor, one in particular throughout the first half of the week. The second half of the week looks to become a little bit more busy than the first half. Right now, let's go ahead and show you what the first half has in store, and it looks like the weather is going to be pretty spot on beautiful for the next couple of days. Once we get into Monday evening, we might have a shower or two just to our north, and you never know if one of those can float down in here or hold together, but overall, I think we will have a lot of dry air at the surface, so we might have virga that happens, which is where the rain doesn't fully reach it to the ground, but I really don't even think we're going to have showers even in our vicinity until we get into early Tuesday morning. We might have to have those showers kind of overcoming some dry air, but you notice how there is a disturbance painted by the GFS across our area. We have high pressure just to our north, so that is going to help keep dry air at the surface. It's also going to help those showers have a hard time even forming. So I'm a little bit skeptical about the shower chances for Tuesday morning, but the European model is pretty big on the chance of some rain coming in on Tuesday morning. It has anywhere between a half inch to an inch of rain in pockets on the purchase area of western Kentucky. So right now I'm kind of back and forth about it. We'll wait and see in the incoming model runs over the next 48 to 72 hours to see what those models end up honing in on if we see rain or if we don't. Right now I'm going with no rain, maybe a shower or two, but my chances for right now Tuesday morning are around 20 to 30%. Once we get into midweek, we're watching a system, a cold front associated with an area of low pressure off to our north and west. This is going to also help kick in northwesterly flows. So you notice each of these little complexes forming. These are all MCSs. So we're entering back into another period towards the end of the week, beginning of next week, where we're going to begin to see a period of MCSs form to our northwest. Some of them might survive and make it down here. They are hard to track within 24 hours in advance, let alone a week or two out. So these are going to be something that we're going to monitor over the next week or so, and this is something that you need to monitor as well. Your apps are not going to show you if an MCS is going to hit. It'll typically tell you just a chance of rain, and it is going to fluctuate very quickly and very rapidly from one run to the next because that's how MCSs work. They fluctuate from one model run to the next depending on where they track. So it's not going to be something, a model, or rather an app on your phone is not something handy you're going to want to have over the next week, especially once we get towards the end of the week. Some of these on the GFS model don't show making it down here, but we get towards the very end of the week, beginning of next weekend, we're already looking at that frontal system getting closer to our region inch by inch, and you notice high pressure coming in behind it out of Canada, so that is indicating cooler and drier air behind it, but we have to get past these showers and thunderstorms first, and we got to hone in on the timing and who sees what with these MCSs, and it shows those finally making it into our region by next Saturday. So it's showing that it's taking it a long time to even get there, and then once we get towards the beginning of next week, it still shows one round after the other just hitting our region. Hopefully it's out of here by the 4th of July, and we can see high pressure take back over control with cooler and drier air, but right now we are just not totally sure on when this is all going to take shape and who's going to see the most amount of rain. Let's go ahead and show you some of those disturbances and what they will look like on radar. Everywhere that you see yellow, or really the darker the color, the higher the chance or indication of some lift in the atmosphere. So this is showing you basically where thunderstorms could form. Once we get into Sunday afternoon, it looks like tomorrow will be good. No rain for tomorrow on your Sunday. Once we get towards Monday and Tuesday, you notice we are starting to see a little bit more of an uptick in those colors. So indicating a little bit more lift in the atmosphere, a little bit more to work with. But keep in mind, we might have enough lift, and that's fine if we have showers forming. But if we have dry air at the surface associated with that high pressure, like I mentioned, then some of this might not be reaching the ground. So we have to make sure and keep that in mind as well. This is really not typical for summertime because we are always moisture. We are always very dosed in the moisture values and the comment and the content in the atmosphere. So we're really never lacking moisture in the atmosphere during this time of the year. But we had a pretty good cold front come through yesterday, and we usually don't see 70s during the middle of the summer either with low humidity values. But hey, we're seeing it. So that's something that we still have to keep in mind. Even though it is summertime, we can still have dry air at the surface, and that's what I think is going to happen. But you notice how it didn't really pick up on too much energy for Tuesday morning, but there was a little bit. So we'll make sure and watch that very closely and see how that evolves throughout the next couple of model runs. Once we get towards the end of the week, notice all of these disturbances off to our northwest. This is where these would be forming, and then they would eventually be moving to our southeast if they held together. Finally, it shows some of those might be holding together by the time we get into the beginning of next week. This would be right around the 4th of July. So bad timing if this were to be correct, but we still have a whole another week or so to monitor that. So let's look at those beautiful temperatures that we have in store over the next couple of days. Before we even talk rain chances, let's at least get through this beautiful weather that we're experiencing right now. Temperatures today did rise into the upper 70s to low 80s, so that did verify. Once we get into tomorrow, those temperatures might come up a degree or two, but not too much higher than where we were at today. Still feeling pretty nice outside, maybe a little bit more sunshine. By the time we get towards Monday, we're looking at temperatures coming down a couple more notches. So this is where I think we will be seeing the coolest temperatures out of the whole week, and that is going to be on Monday, I'm pretty sure and pretty confident about, with mid to upper 70s. And then as we get towards Tuesday, it looks pretty similar to what we had for today. It's Wednesday when we begin to see those temperatures really coming up there back to summertime values. So really, guys, you have a whole nother 4 to 5 days to work with these cooler fall-like temperatures, a fall preview perhaps, if you will. But once we get into Thursday, that summertime air begins to take back over. Moisture values will begin to come back up because we will have a cold front nearing our region, so that will mean a lot of moisture coming up ahead of it. So our atmosphere will become a lot more dosed, a lot more increased with humidity values is what I'm trying to say. And then by Saturday and Sunday, those temperatures continue to rise, but this also depends on the timing of rain and showers and thunderstorms coming through and all of that. If we look at the rain over the next week, this is really going to be dependent on, like I said, where those MCSs track. But even this model is showing for Tuesday morning anywhere between a half inch to an inch of rain over a very narrow swath. So this is also something we'll have to keep an eye on, where this narrow swath of rain ends up shaping up to be on Tuesday morning. Right now, I'm still honing in on just a couple of showers, but I'm still not very confident about rain chances at all. If we see that high pressure a little bit further to the north, or a little bit further away from our region, or a little bit weaker, then I will begin to increase those rain chances. But until then, my forecast for Tuesday morning is really derived around that high pressure center at the surface. It's once we get into the very end of the week when those rain chances will begin to increase, if we have any MCSs roll through the region. Until then, enjoy this beautiful weather, and I hope you all have a fantastic week.